Yeah, so just want to talk about another lying father, and in quotes, father. In this video, I'm talking about Teilhard de Chardin. For those who've never heard of him, you'll know more about him as I go through this video. So Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, often called the father of the New Age, had such a tremendous impact on Christianity, even though he wasn't a Christian himself. So just keep watching and listening, and then you'll find out more. Uh, excuse me, he had such a tremendous impact on Christianity that it is no wonder the church at large is in the condition it is today. The church is in the condition it's in today that most Christians actually don't even believe the Bible. So things like the Noah's flood, they'll say, no, that wasn't worldwide. Creation, they don't believe that creation was, that God created the heaven and the earth in 6 days. They'll say, no, it took a long time, because they're trying to lean towards evolution, which is what Teilhard de Chardin also promoted and believed in. The quotes below by Chardin are a picture of where today's so-called Christianity, uh, in quotes, seems to be heading. Teilhard de Chardin said, "What I am proposing to do is to narrow that gap between pantheism and Christianity." And pantheism is basically nature worship, such as climate change. You know, believing that we need to look after the environment and all this stuff, and that CO2 is destroying, or human activity here on this earth, including breathing, is destroying the earth. That's pantheism. So this is what Teilhard de Chardin was promoting. It pantheism and Christianity by bringing out, let me just read that again. What I'm proposing to do is to narrow that gap between pantheism and Christianity by bringing out what one might call the Christian soul of pantheism, or the pantheist aspect of Christianity. That's from a book called Christianity and Evolution by Teilhard de Chardin, page 56. And then another quote here: "Now I realize that on the model of the incarnate God whom Christianity reveals to me, I can be saved only by becoming one with the universe. Thereby, too, my deepest pantheist aspirations are satisfied." Uh, Same book again, Christianity and Evolution, page 128. So that's why it was called the father of the New Age. The New Age is basically pantheism. But there's another reason why I'm talking about him, which will become clear in a few minutes. "I believe that the Messiah," this is another quote from him, "the Messiah whom we await, whom we all without any doubt await, is the universal Christ, that is to say, the Christ of evolution." That's page 95 of Christianity and Evolution. Amazingly, Leonard Sweet, one of today's most prolific Christian authors, we need to be careful of these so-called Christian leaders who support things that don't align with God's word. It says this man, Leonard Sweet, describes Chardin as the 20th century Christian's major voice. So let's move on to the Piltdown hoax. And for those maybe who don't know what that is, just keep watching. The case of Piltdown Man constitutes the greatest scandal known in the history of human paleontology. The first blunder or fraud involving Teilhard de Chardin, which discredited him as a scientist in the scientific community, which took place in February 1912. So Piltdown Man basically was a hoax where they said that it was said that the missing link between apes and humans had been found, and Teilhard de Chardin was involved in that. The fact is that a group of British researchers, including Sir Wilfrid Le Gros Clark, Kenneth P. Oakley, Joseph Wiener, Gordon Clearingbull, Max Hay, and Jan de Vries, demonstrated that everything was fraudulent in the Piltdown find over a period of 10 years. For instance, the evolutionists were involved in the Piltdown hoax. These evolutionists put together a gorilla jaw with a human skull. Both dyed with iron sulfate to give the appearance of great age. Furthermore, lithic implements were also dyed, while bones of prehistoric animals brought from other regions were added to the same specimen. Examinations showed that the prehistoric skull, in quotes, prehistoric skull of Piltdown was only 600 years old, whereas they had said, Teilhard de Chardin and his cronies said that this skull was thousands and thousands of years old. The mortal remains of a medieval man was what this skull was. It is not known for sure who authored the fraudulent monkey-jawed, man-scowled monster found by Smith, Woodward, Dawson, and Teilhard de Chardin, was obviously a Jesuit. Teilhard de Chardin was a Jesuit, and I hadn't actually mentioned that. So regardless, it was indeed a fraud. Fossils dyed with iron sulfate to make them look old. The fossils of a so-called prehistoric man who died about 600 years ago. It seems that those afflicted by the evolutionist fever, including the Jesuit priest Chardin, will stop at nothing to convince the people that we evolved from ape-like creatures. Let us now look at the bluff of the Peking man. So Peking man is another fraud that Teilhard de Chardin was involved with, which they tried to say that Peking man was the link between apes and humans. So at this point, the Rockefeller Foundation, which also funded Charles Darwin's expedition to the Galapagos Islands, oversaw financing of the Choukouten excavations. According to the narratives in the manuals, in 1928, fragments of a skull, 2 jaws and 5 teeth were discovered. The jaws are ape-like and anthropoid in shape. In 1929, Teilhard de Chardin was invited as a geological advisor to judge the stratigraphy of the region under study. The excavation work was carried out by Wenzong Pei, who would continue in this task during the communist occupation of China. It is stated that in 1936 there were already 24 skulls, 5 more or less complete ones, 12 jaws and 100 teeth. From 1936 to 1937, 7 human femurs and 1 humerus were discovered, which were supposed to belong to what was termed the synanthrope. Well, who or what was the synanthrope? Teilhard de Chardin says on the chronology of the strata of Choukouten that the fossil found was dated with precision. So when this Peking man was so-called discovered and was said to be the link between apes and human beings, Teilhard de Chardin supported that. An interesting paleontological fact which discredited Teilhard's scientific procedure is provided by a Chinese anthropologist, Quang Chi Chang, whose research shows that a certain type of fauna appears in China together with normal human fossils. That is the freak synanthrope, the ape man. The fossils of this ape man lived at the same time as normal humans. So that was proved to be a hoax as well. Now the big part. So before I move on, I just want to make it clear that the Piltdown man was basically the skull of a gorilla and the jaw of a human that had chemicals put on them to make them look old. They were purposely put together under and hidden in the earth and then said to have been discovered. Teilhard de Chardin was involved in that fraud. Just to make it a bit more clear. Now the big part, the major bluff. A common procedure in the archaeological and the paleontological sciences is to photograph in detail the finds on site. So when someone says they found a fossil, they're supposed to photograph it, take photographs of the fossils on site, as well as after they have been cleared of all the accretions. However, in about 14 years of excavations at Choukouten, no photographs of the synanthropic fossil have appeared in scientific publications. This is to do with that Peking man so-called discovery. The so-called fossils were never photographed. They were simply boxed up and mailed from Beijing to Tientsin, and they disappeared without a trace. To this day, no one knows what happened to them. Yeah, so I ran out of space on my phone and I had to go into the house to try and sort that out. And whilst I was in there, it started getting a bit cold here. That's why I've had to change some of my clothing. It's actually winter here in Zimbabwe at the moment. That's why you see me dressed like this now. The sun is setting and it's getting a bit cold. So I was just finishing off this this video that I'm making about Teilhard de Chardin, one of the Lying Fathers. Like I said already, Teilhard de Chardin was a Jesuit priest. And just before I go back to reading and finishing off what I was reading, I just want to mention, just remind everyone that the job of the Jesuits is to destroy Protestantism, but not just Protestantism, but to destroy all truth. try and get everyone to be superstitious and ignorant, believing in evolution and things like space travel and the heliocentric spinning globe Earth, which is not found in God's word, even though most Christians believe in that. So this is one of the reasons why Teilhard de Chardin was involved in the Piltdown Man hoax and the Picking Man hoax as well. So I was just reading here that such was the result of Teilhard's great finding of a second caveman, a chief bluff. So yeah, the second caveman is in reference to Peking Man, because he was also involved in that scandal as well, in that hoax. So I won't read everything else here. I just want to say, or read the last bits of what I wanted to read here. That the conclusion is simple. Pierre-Marie Teilhard de Chardin, and it says SJ here. If you ever see someone's name written down with the letters SJ at the end of that, it means they belong to the Society of Jesus, which is also known as the Jesuits. It says Teilhard was involved in a blatant fraud, the Piltdown Man, and a major bluff, Peking Man. Not a very favorable curriculum vitae for the Jesuit anthropologist, in quotes, whom the trendy contributors to the Jesuit magazine America and the like want to make a doctor of the church. So they want to make Teilhard de Chardin a doctor of the Catholic Church, even though he was involved in these hoaxes. But that's how the Catholic Church operates. They'll take someone who committed a fraud, or even someone who was even involved in murder. You know, like I think it's Pius the 12th or Pius the 12th or Pius the 6th, the Pope who was there when World War II was being fought, and they said they wanted to make him maybe not necessarily a doctor, but a saint, as if that's something that's actually voted on, you know. But it is those who are most wicked and those who are involved in telling lies, they're the ones that seem to get rewarded in this world. And Teilhard de Chardin is one of those men. Yeah, so that's what I want to share, that this Jesuit priest Teilhard de Chardin was basically one of the lying fathers. Yes, he was called the father of the New Age, but he was also involved in these two frauds that I've mentioned, Piltdown Man and Peking Man.